Hi, welcome to another stock review here on the Learn Grow Invest channel. Today we're going to be looking at PanJam Investments Limited, ticker symbol PJAM on the Jamaica Stock Exchange main market. So we're going to look at an overview of the company, look at their financial history. Their most recent financials would have been Q3 2022. We're going to look at any dividends that they would have paid within the last 12 months. Then talk about any upcoming news or anything that we may have to look forward to for the company. This review is sponsored by JMMB, and I'll share more about them later. We'll actually use them during the price history review. So this is going to be another one of our great reviews. Be sure to leave a comment or let us know any other company you'd like us to review. We do 2 reviews per month, so there is a very good chance that we may review your company next month. Just let us know. So let us get started.
Learning is the key to successful investing. And who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at Learn Grow Invest.
All right, welcome back. Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for this day, and thank you for the ability to produce wealth. We pray, Lord, that this will be a meaningful session, and we thank you for your blessings. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, so let me know who is here. Kedisha, no, we have not yet reviewed Grace Kennedy. We did a review on Wisynco. Did we review Wisynco? I think we might have. So just scroll through our channel. When you go to our main page, there should be a search history. You'll see, or we have a stock review playlist. You can scroll through that playlist. I think we've looked at Wisynco before, actually multiple times, but it might have been from 2020, 2021. So we'll probably do for another review. So let us know. We can probably do another review of them soon. But yes, we have covered them before. All right, so again, as I mentioned before, we are looking at PanJam Investments Limited. And it's one of those companies that is not talked about a lot, but it's been a very interesting company to review. So it's my pleasure to go through it here today. We do know that there's a merger with them and Jamaica Producers. I'll talk about that a little bit near the end, but we're planning to cover that in a separate video. So for the most part, I'll be focusing on PanJam on its own, and then we'll talk about what the company will look like in other episodes, right? So we usually like to keep the stock reviews very concise, so that we're sharing the most pertinent information we believe you would need to get an understanding of the company. And then what we will do is just encourage you to do further research, right? So, So anything that I discuss here is meant for discussion, education, entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed financial advisor, and as such, I'm not able to tell you which stocks to buy or not to buy. So please take everything I say as just for education purposes and not as advice, solicitation, or recommendation. Thank you very much. So again, we're looking at PanJam, 5 main areas here. And, the overview will start with background of the company. So let's get into that one. So we have here, in 1964, the Facey family, led by Cecil Boswell Facey, formed Jamaica Property Company Limited. That's known as Jamaica Property, which would have focus on real estate development in Kingston. Shortly thereafter, Clinton Hart incorporated Pan Jamaican Investment Trust Limited, or PanJam as it was known at the time, a company with a dual purpose, right? Invest in a wide range of Jamaican businesses while providing ordinary Jamaicans with the ability to participate in those investments, right? So in line with their mandate, PanJam applied to be listed on the Kingston Jamaica Stock Exchange in 1965, right? And raised £200 through a public offering, right? So giving you a little bit of history there, where they're coming from. A year later, Jamaica Property became a wholly owned subsidiary of PanJam in a transaction that represented the amalgamation of two companies driven to grow in Jamaica, whether through direct investment in local businesses or the development of the properties on which they operate. All right. So let me move to the next slide, some more information here. And it's just to really give you context about the company, right? So that's why we're going into these details here. So it says here, PanJam emerged as a business leader, pioneering the development of high-rise commercial and residential properties and investing in iconic Jamaican companies. They also sought to, they began the construction of the Air Jamaica building in downtown Kingston, the Imperial Life building on Nussford Boulevard, and the Abbey Court apartments on Hope Road. All places I hope you know. They diversified their portfolio by investing in manufacturing and trading industries with the acquisition of Wherry Wharf. They then made a serious mark in terms of private equity by purchasing Hardware and Lumber in Jamaica's first public hostile takeover, and that was only the beginning for them. So you're kind of seeing a trend here in terms of how they invest and their strategy. In the 1980s, they acquired Jamaica Floral Exports and Sans Souci Hotel and Resort and attained controlling interest in Scott's Preserves. Those investments exposed them to the export markets and tourism. They also began to explore the finance industry with the establishment of First Life Insurance Company and the acquisition of a 20% stake in Pan-Caribbean Merchant Bank. Through a series of strategic restructurings, those two transactions laid the foundation for them for one of their largest holdings. That would be 32% of Sagicor Group Jamaica Limited. In recent times, they would have continued to invest in Jamaica through partnerships with Chukka Caribbean, Chukka Adventure Tours, Mavis Bank Coffee Company, and Walker's Wood. They affirmed their commitment to the development of Kingston through introducing the international brand Courtyard by Marriott. All of these brands that you probably hear about, but you weren't aware that PanJam has stake in these companies or is a big part of them. They've also looked for opportunities, outside of Jamaica and invested in an L.E.A.R.N hotel in Miami, Florida. I don't know if you've ever stayed at an L.E.A.R.N. By the way, this is just a side. Excellent hotel. I stayed there once. Just amazing, right? So PanJam, if to sum it up, is an investment holding company. That means that they will, from time to time, divest their interest in their associates. They sold their share in H&L True Value in 2015 and of Mavis Bank Coffee in 2016. Through all the changes in their portfolio, both past and future, PanJam remains committed to its founder's vision. They actively pursue investments that will grow the real Jamaican economy while ensuring that they create long-term value for their shareholders. And I took all of this information from their website, which I'll say was, quite well done in terms of the information that it provides. So I'll leave a link to it in the description for you to go through. I'd recommend that you do that. All right. So let's move on here. What you're seeing here now, it mentions they having a diversified portfolio of associated companies comprising a wholly owned property management business and investor partnerships in insurance, tourism and attraction development, manufacturing and real estate development. So they have their hands in a lot of things, and it's going to get even more so with their partnership with Jamaica Producers, right? So you have the brands here, Jamaica Property, Sagicor, Courtyard, Chukka, Aloft, Walker's Wood. So the pillars are, I guess, the building blocks here in terms of scope, investment, insurance, and property management and rental, right? And again, this information is taken from their website. This is the listing of their top 10 shareholders as at September 30th. So that's a breakdown. I guess it's curious to see what the structure will look like in a few months, but top 10 owns 65.16%, and other shareholders, including the public, it has around 35%. All right, let's look at their financials. I wanted to spend some time here. So we're looking at three things, right? We're looking at income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. And there are a few things that we're looking for. We're comparing quarters and the year-to-date numbers. We're looking at those. Our revenues growing or shrinking? Those are some of the questions we're trying to answer. Our margins improving, gross profit, operating profit, etc. And we're doing that just by looking at the numbers. We're not going to go into any ratios or anything like that during this video, but I'm sharing this with you because if you are interested in a company, it's a good idea to look at those kind of things, right? So we share this slide now to let you know what are some of the questions we may be asking and encourage you to ask the same, right? And next thing, are costs increasing or decreasing? And earnings per share, is that increasing? Is it negative? If that's the case, why is it negative? Because sometimes we have one-off cases where the EPS may fall or go lower. Is that something that is a symptom of things to come, or it's something that's considered one-off, right? So those are some of the questions we're trying to answer. So in terms of their net income, so you're gonna see just three graphs throughout. We're not going to we're gonna read through the notes that they have in their financials and on their websites, and then again we're just gonna look at some of the numbers at a high level. So in terms of their net income, all the way back to 2017, this is a trend you're seeing here. So net income in 2019 would have been their highest. 2021 would have been a good year considering 2020, and then we look at the 2022 numbers up to 9 months in a little bit. So we're looking at here their income statement, and they're showing here the 3 months for ending September 2022, the year to date. That's the third column, and then the year to date 2021 in comparison, right? So two things are being compared here, the quarter and the year to date. So in terms of investments, we're seeing and this is in well, it's thousands, so these numbers are millions, right? So 318,000 for investments in the negative, property 531,000. Well, there's a breakdown of this, so we'll get into the breakdown a little bit. So let's focus on maybe let's focus on operating profit here, which would have been negative 275 million as opposed to 206 same period last year. Profit before taxation would have been 738 million as opposed to 2.4 billion last year. And we're seeing the year-to-date numbers though being 1.9 billion as opposed to 4.9 billion same time last year, and net profit being 688,000 as opposed to 688 million as opposed to 2.4 billion. And of course the notes will give some more insights into why this is. And then the EPS would have been for year to date $1.74 as opposed to $4.52 in the previous year. And as I said, the notes will give us some more context into this. Further, explained here. Net profit for the period, and it goes into some more information here. So items that will not be classified will not be reclassified to profit or loss, change in fair value of equity investments. So that's noted here as well. So the number that we have here working with after that adjustment is 1.4 billion as opposed to 419 million same time last year, and in year to date almost 1.5 billion as opposed to 500 million for 2021, right? And then next we have share of other comprehensive income of associated company. That's this line here. Sorry for not, I usually put arrows and that stuff to let you know where I'm talking about, but we're at the line that says share of other comprehensive income of associated company. That's After that has been subtracted, that leaves with 504 million. Again, these are thousands, so 504 million as opposed to 2.2 billion for the 3 months in 2021, and the year to date, it's a negative 2 billion as opposed to positive 4 million for year to date 2021. All right, and again, as I said, when we read through the notes, they'll give some more insights into these. This is a breakdown of revenue, and I like when companies do this. If there are segments, break them down so that we understand what's driving the business. So property management and rental, we see those numbers, we see the investments, hotel management, other services, and eliminations. So as the Limitless podcast saying, without Sagicor, they wouldn't really make a profit. So what we're seeing here is that breakdown of numbers based on segments. So segment results, and we saw actually Palace do a similar breakdown. As I said, I like when companies do this breakdown because it helps us to understand where the money is being made and maybe what areas there are opportunities for improvement. So what we see here for property management, segments results, interest expense, and then profit before taxation, and then taxation leaves us with 58 million in net profit for the property management side. For the investments, totaling 1.5 billion. Hotel management, that would be a negative 75 million. And I guess that might be attributable to, where we are in terms of the economy. I'm not sure. We'll get to the notes. We may have some insights into it, we may not. Let's see. Other services being 30 million, and eliminations being 281 million. So the total would have been 1.8 billion in terms of that breakdown. And then it shows you investments in associated companies, and those figures for investments. I guess that's what you were talking about, Limitless. Is that 35 billion from Sagicor? Is that the case? Let me know. Let me know if that's what you saw. All right. So let's move on here. So let's look at the balance sheet next. And we're looking at, again, just more of the same in terms of comparing quarters, but we're also looking at cash and cash equivalents, any debt or liabilities. How have those been trending? Are their debts being reduced, or are they increasing? And what's the context? What's the position of their retained earnings? And I don't think where applicable, receivables and inventory. So total assets for the last 5 years, that's what you're seeing here. So it's been steadily increasing in terms of value for their assets. What we're seeing here as at September 2022, cash and bank balances will be 353 million. So that has grown from 272 for 2021. That would be at the end of the year. And the unaudited for September 2021 would be 308. So it would still be higher in terms of their cash on hand. Investments, we're seeing financial assets at fair value through profit and loss being 8 million, as opposed to 9.3 at the end of the year and 8 million at same period last year. Investment properties being 10 billion rather, and investments in associated companies 35 billion, total being 55 billion in terms of those assets, investments and cash. And then we have other assets here, prepayments, property, plant and equipment being 5 billion, and properties for development and sale being 1.2 billion. So total assets being 65 billion. Slightly decreasing. Let me see if I can see the source of the decrease. Decreasing by about almost 2 billion from the end of the year. Not catching anything readily, but next thing we're looking at here is retained earnings being 40 billion. That's pretty much stood still for the last 9 months. In terms of liabilities, loan liabilities being 14 billion, that's more or less the same as well. And then other liabilities being 1 billion, up from 882 million and 622 for the other periods, right? So they do have enough in terms of cash to meet, I guess, their let me just confirm, their cash 353 million, liabilities, well, they don't have them split here in terms of current bank overdraft. Yeah, so in terms of what would be considered current liabilities, because we assume this loan is going to be over a certain tenure, we should be able to see that in the notes when we get there. And other liabilities, we should be able to get a definition of that as well, right? So usually with these numbers, we can get some more details on them in the notes. So I'll check for those, right? Cash flow statement is next. Is a company generating or burning through cash? What are the main numbers in terms of cash flow from operations, financing, and investing activities? How is the company financing itself? And just kind of look to see where things are in terms of cash flow. All right, so let us see here. Again, we're not going to go through everything in detail. We're going to hope to get insights from the notes. I'm just going to focus on the main line items here, the ones in bold. So 922 million in terms of cash flow from operations for September. Cash flow from investing activities, negative 533 million. And you've seen there would have been an acquisition here for 1.5 billion, expenditure on properties and development for sale. So that would be cash outflows. So they would have made investments and they would have received dividends of 1.2 billion. And net for that would be 533 million out. Right, in terms of cash flow from financing activities, negative 1.7 billion, up from 1.1 the previous period. And so would have seen loans repaid being 3 billion, dividends paid to equity holders being 1.4 billion. So that would have, that's what, total cash in terms of financing out being 1.7 billion, right? Hopefully I didn't confuse you there. And then cash at the end of the period being 1.1 billion as opposed to 2.4 for the previous period, right? If any of this doesn't make sense to you, would have covered this in previous videos as in how to review these statements. So if you want, I can link that video, just let me know, or just search through the channel and you'll find it, right? So the outlook, so before I read the outlook, I'll get to, they have their website where they mentioned the financials overview. So we're just going to look at that for some insights into the numbers. So I'm just going to zoom in here so you can read it a little clearly. And this is where I would have gotten the graphs from. So it says net profit here attributable to shareholders of 681 million for the quarter and 1.9 billion for the 9 months for 2021. So would have highlighted that before. Earnings per share, we mentioned those numbers. Book value per stock being $45.89 as at September 30th, as opposed to $47 for the same period last year. Dividend per stock declared of $1.02 as opposed to in 2021 where it was 45 cents. Right? So in terms of the income statement, it was of course it would have been lower than the previous period. Income from their core operations would have decreased by 27.5% when compared to the third quarter. Investments generated a loss of 318 million, and last year's results were heavily influenced by unrealized gains from their portfolio of Jamaican equities. So that kind of gives you an idea. That's no different than a couple of funds we see in terms of losses over the last 2 years, which were largely reversed in the third quarter in line with unfavorable movement in stock and bond prices both locally and globally. Year-over-year property income increased by 10.3%, benefiting from annual rental rate adjustments. So wherever they get property income, that would have gone up by 10%. Their operations of Rock Hotel Tapestry, which opened its doors in July 2022, contributed $255 million, right, exceeding their early expectations for its performance, and the hotel remains in its ramp-up phase. Operating expenses would have been $763 million, an increase of 67% as a result of staff and administrative costs, primarily related to the opening of Rock Hotel. Finance costs increased to $265 million on primarily higher average interest rates. So what this means for their finance costs is, as we see interest rates continue to go up, this cost will continue to go up as well. Year-to-date comparison, net profit attributable to owners for the 9 months was $1.9 billion, equivalent to an EPS of 1.74. Right, investment losses of $362 million were driven by unrealized losses in their portfolio, and property income would have increased by 3.4% when compared to the same period last year. Okay, operating expenses would have grown as a result of the opening of the hotel and inflation. Let's see now for the associated companies. The results of their associated companies consist principally of their 30.2% in Sagicor. They hold minority positions in a number of diverse private entities across tourism, BPO, hospitality, consumer products, microlending, and office rental sectors. Their share of the results of the associated companies decreased by 24.2% to $3.1 billion, driven mainly by Sagicor's results, which declined by 22%. All right, so just bear in mind where the impact could be to their overall profitability through their associated companies. All right, in terms of balance sheets, we looked at that already. So let's look at the outlook now. So it says their current economic environment continues to be impacted by geopolitical tensions. They continue to see markedly higher interest rates and increased inflation although the central banks expect this upward trend to ease in early 2023. While they believe that uncertainty will continue, their long-term investment horizon remains both relevant and appropriate to this environment. Their portfolio composition represents their position as long-term investors, while their results reflect only short-term volatility therein. All right. Doesn't really tell you a lot, honestly, in terms of outlook. So we'll see if we can get some more insights as we go through the rest of the review. All right. All right, so let's look at price history. So we're using JMMB Moneyline as our platform here. They are sponsors for this video, so I thank them once again for that. We see where, in terms of volume, I showed it on the graph here, 9.3 million units traded March last year. Otherwise, the volumes really kind of stay well. We'll get to the volumes a little bit later. There was no trading today, as you know, so that's why you're not seeing a last traded price or a lower high for the day, because this graphic was taken just about 3 hours ago. Week to date, month to date, year to date, quarter to date, based on where we are in the year, are going to be mostly the same numbers. 52-week range, as low as $47.50 and as high as $71. It's about $56.50 now, so it's down from the high. Is at about 20%. I want to say 20% down from their high, and up to 6 million units would have traded in the last year. 1 billion shares outstanding with a market cap of 60 billion, right? And we'll look at the Q a little bit later. In terms of the candlestick chart, I remember a few years ago when PanJam was just one of those companies that I didn't quite understand at the time. It was one of the few stocks that were close to $100 at the time. I remember when it broke over the $100 mark. As you saw, 2018, it was somewhere around the $50 mark. So within a year or 15 to 18 months, it had doubled in price. I remember when that was happening. From that point to the high till now, we've seen it gone as low as $47. So it has lost all the gains that it would have had in 2018 up to 2019, and it's back to 2018 levels thereabout now. All right, let me go to Moneyline to look at the Qs. All right, so we're on JMMB Moneyline. Let me close this out so you can see. So I went to other services, stock market summary, and that brings us to this page where you can see all the stocks on both junior and main market. It shows you at the end that JNR means junior market. If you know the ticker, you can just search for it here, and then it brings up this window that we're looking at right now. Okay, so in terms of, I've noticed, I've been looking, because I knew I was going to be reviewing PanJam. I've been looking at the queue leading up for the last couple of weeks. These orders at 5, 6, 7, and 8, they've been in the queue for a little while, right? Quite maybe 2 weeks or more, right? So that was noteworthy for me in terms of seeing that order there. One wonders if the person really wants to sell, because if you really want to sell, leaving it there, well, I mean, for that volume, because I'm assuming this is the same person, right? Because at the time the orders matched this 167, some units were sold from it. There was essentially 4 equivalent orders here. So I'm wondering why the person doesn't make an arranged trade, just speak to their broker and maybe get these units sold offline. I mean, that's one of the things you have the option of doing. Most persons don't know that, but if they really want to get it sold, because you're literally holding out for $1 more than where the price currently trades at for the most part. I mean, but of course, if they were to put in like a market order, then the price they wouldn't be able to sell all of their units, because that first order of 167 probably would clear out the entire queue. And would that halt the stock down? 56.45 probably would halt the stock down, right? We see the volumes here. Let's look at the last 3 months. 2.2 million units traded in January. In December, 1.7 million units. I think this was right around the time they would have maybe had the announcement about the partnership with JP. So would have seen, a little bit of an increase since then. It went as high as $65. And then now back to around $57, $56, right? We're not able to see the last trades right now because there was no trading today. And we looked at the candlestick chart already, okay? All right, so let's go back here. Let's talk about dividends, right? So this would be their dividends paid over the last 5 years again, just that, just seeing the history and consistency of dividend payments. So it is a dividend paying company. I would encourage you to calculate the yield, which should be important for you if you're a dividend investor, right? So this would be the dividends. Now, I think there is some duplication here, because you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dividends paid last year. I'm not sure they paid that many, but I do see some of these numbers duplicated, meaning the 28 cents. They did say they paid a total dividend of $1.02. So I didn't add these up to say, but this looks like more than $1.02 for all of these. But this is what is shown on the JSE, so I've shared it accordingly. But the only dividend announcement I saw was this one, which was in March, right? I didn't see the later dividend announcement for these in May, August, and November, right? So the dividend announcement here was in March. They're going to declare the following dividend payment: first amount of 28 cents, payable March 31st to shareholders on record as of the 16th of March, and a special dividend of 35 cents per share, payable April 29th. So that was from earlier last year. As we see, though, there were other dividends being recorded here, but I couldn't find the announcement for those, right? So I'm going to assume either the announcements were missed and these in fact were paid, but we do see where they said they would have paid a $1 dividend total. So I don't know if that would have been for the last 12 months or for the year to date. All right. So let's look at news. So this would have been released January 9th rather. PanJam has advised of its sale of a 33.3% stake in Newcastle Company Limited, effective December 21st. They manufacture jerk sauces and seasonings and other condiments under the Walkerswood brand, Busher Brown and Jamaica Joe. According to Joanna, our investment in Newcastle was in line with their strategy to take meaningful positions in Jamaican companies with strong brands, foreign exchange earning potential, and global reach. Newcastle has certainly carved a niche for itself in the specialty food space. While they expect the company to continue to grow, their investment objectives were met, right? And it spoke to this in terms of their about us, in terms of their strategy. At some point, they may seek to take an exit, so it's not a bad thing. At some point, if you're an investment holding company, you're going to be selling your investments, right? This would have been made in November 30th last year, that they would have advised that they're going to have an EGM to discuss the merger for PanJam and Jamaica Producers. So I do have some articles here from David Rose that I'm going to be sharing. Let me find those. Just give me 1 sec. Let me bring those up. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try to get to them as best as I can. We're just going to go through those articles now. So this was the JSE page that I took the dividend information from. It's under corporate actions. You can see, overview of their earnings coming from all the way from 2016. So it's always good to check out this page, get familiar with it. Would have gone through their earnings for the 9 months ending September. Those are some other links, etc. So let me find the articles now, right? So this one would have mentioned before. So let's speak about the one about the partnership, right? Let's look through those. All right, so this one, let me try and zoom in here. All right, so it says Jamaica Producers and PanJam Investment Limited have announced an agreement that will see the merging of the asset bases for both businesses, valuing more than 100 billion in what is one of Jamaica's largest ever partnerships. So details of the agreement were outlined in a joint release on the Jamaica Stock Exchange's website, which stated that PanJam will acquire the operating assets of JP in exchange for a 34.5% stake. PanJam will be named the Pan Jamaica Group Limited, while JP will become the single largest shareholder in PanJam, with its shares becoming its sole principal operating asset. Both companies will remain listed on the main market of the JSE as the transaction awaits approval. Explanatory circulars will be provided to shareholders shortly. While the transaction would not require the Supreme Court's approval, it may possibly require regulatory approvals. The boards of both companies relied on a fairness opinion by Ernst & Young, blah, blah, blah. As at September 30th, JP had a combined asset base of 57 billion, with its market cap being about 24 billion. PanJam had a combined asset base of 65 billion and a market cap of 60 billion, right? So two fairly large companies. And we know that there's a history of partnership with PanJam. PanJam's and JP co-investment in Mavis Bank Coffee was the beginning of a successful journey together. This transaction will combine their strengths and talent, said Joanna Banker. And she actually shared a lot in terms of what the outlay will look like for them in terms of their partnership. She shared it at the Jamaica Stock Exchange conference. I have it on video. but the quality of the video is not what I would like to share. So I do have an interview scheduled with Joanna Banks coming soon. We're hoping to have that interview with both her and Jeffrey Hall. So hopefully we can meet with both of them together. If not, we'll meet with her and we'll get some more details of that partnership, right? So the scale of the balance sheet when combined will enable them to become the region's investment vehicle and investment partner of choice, right? The PanJam Group will have an excellent platform for growth with a leading position in a range of key industries, including property and infrastructure, finance, specialty foods, and logistics. As a geographically and operationally diversified company, they expect to have access to larger investment opportunities around the world, translating to improved shareholder value, right? The JP assets to be acquired by PanJam will include the majority of the major operating assets of Jamaica Producers Group, including its holdings in Kingston Wharves, JP International Group, JP Tropical Group, Frontera, and other associated companies. On the completion of the transaction, those key operating assets will all form a part of the combined. My camera is thinking I'm trying to switch to whiteboard mode. Apologies for that. On completion of the transaction, these key operating assets will all form a part of the combined PanJam Group alongside the key operating assets and associated companies. All JP assets that form a part of the PanJam Group will be in a new subsidiary. All right. So again, we'll hope to meet with them to get more insights on that partnership. This article again was from David Rose, which spoke about the approval of the merger. And this one would have spoken about them acquiring a stake in a BPO entity. I'm going to check the date for this though and see if it's recent. I can't find the date. All right, Wally CR ads on pages. Oh my gosh. Yep. All right. Let me just scroll through, right? See if we get any insights here. PanJam has acquired a 15% stake in International CX Limited as it increases its exposure to BPO sector and ramps up its private equity ambitions, right? Let's see if we get any insights here. All right, I'm not. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to go further into that one right now. All right, so let us look at, we'll just talk about a little bit about what that may mean for the company. So again, this review was sponsored by JMMB Moneyline. I thank them for sponsoring this video, of course. So right now we're just waiting to see the partnership, confirmed, as in going through the process and what that will mean for the company. I do think this really it fits what PanJam has sought to do from the start in terms of focusing on it from their side, and so it's just waiting to see. It's a massive integration. I remember Joanna when she shared the list of companies that they'll now be a part of or have a stake in. It was a ridiculous number of companies, meaning it's just like, I believe maybe 20 or more companies were on the combined merger for them both, right? So a lot more information to come. The business will definitely be growing, and I think this will put them in a good position strategically. In terms of their most recent activity, Limitless had said it in terms of that income from associated company being Sagicor, which did decrease from the previous period. So that means as things improve for companies like Sagicor, it will improve for PanJam. And I think that means, again, maybe I look at the overall economy and financial institutions improving for that to have a marked difference for PanJam as well, because of the stake that they have in Sagicor. In terms of their other business, because it's property, infrastructure, etc. Mostly, I mean those assets, are there for rental income. They are working on a development as well. So in terms of company, I mean, solid revenues should continue to improve in terms of in terms of companies like the Rock Hotel. What I will say is that I am concerned. Well, in general, this would be my concern, not necessarily for PanJam, but I do like to. So with companies like maybe PanJam, Kingston Properties that do rentals, I'm always interested to see how those revenues continue to trend based on how the companies they're renting to performs, right? So maybe if we get an understanding as to the type of businesses they rent to, and that's one of the questions we'll ask in our interview, we'll get an idea as to, I guess, the predictability of those incomes or those revenues rather, in terms of their diversified scope now with the merger. It's to say, to give that integration time, and then for us to start seeing those results being reflected for the company's bottom line. So that will be interesting to see. So we do have a fair amount of questions for Joanna and Jeffrey. So when we get to meet with them, I think that'd be a great interview to watch if you're interested in this company. The price point may not be sexy for some investors, but it's based on a company. If you look to the tuna business that they do, assets and so on, the price, as I said, has been down from 104, right? So at some point, investors were willing to pay $104 per share, right? So just bear that in mind. And we'll have a new look at the top 10 and see how things progress for the company, right? In terms of my initial thoughts of Joanna when I saw her speak and present on the company, just what I've read throughout the company, seems very, focused, knows what she's talking about, knows what she's doing in terms of her management style. So I like everything that I see of the company so far in terms of how it presents its information. The outlook could have been a lot clearer, I believe, in terms of future outlook for the company. I'd love to have seen more there, but again, that gives us an opportunity to ask those questions in the interview in terms of what the outlook is. But I will share, I believe I shared the video of her presentation at the JSE conference in our Telegram group. Try to share it again since we're doing this review, but not seeing any questions here. So I'll close the video here. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you're interested in PanJam. And yeah, if you have any questions for the CEO, post them in the comments below the video and we'll ask Joanna. We hopefully should be speaking to her sometime in March. So that interview is coming up soon. So I want to thank you for watching and be sure to check out our other stock reviews. We do 2 stock reviews per month. So we've reviewed quite a number of companies already. Be sure to check those out. And we give you enough information to, I think, let you reasonably determine if you're interested in the company or not. We specifically stay away from things like PE, etc., because our focus is on the business itself for you to understand the company. If you are interested, then you can look at those, specific valuation metrics and determine, how you're going to treat with those, because, PE is one of the many ways in which you may choose to assess a company. So that, we think is for further research and not for really the scope of our stock reviews here. So thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the very next video. Check out one of our other stock reviews to learn more about the companies you may be interested in. Thank you for watching.
Learning is the key to successful investing. And who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest.